Hey friends, despite I have traveled to over 136 different countries, I hardly talk about travel on this YouTube channel. But hey, that's gonna change today. So I'll go through your travel questions and how to plan trips, if you should travel alone or with friends, my biggest regrets, my favorite places, travel goals, and a lot more. So there will be timestamps for every single question on the video description. I'll take everything off the cuff while sipping my tea without scripted answers, so it will be a bit more rambly than normal. Let's go. First question is, why are you not making more travel videos? And yeah, the question is that why, despite, now that I have an audience on YouTube and I travel to so many cool places, why are not showing just more of that, right? So, and the reality is that I'm trying to be a bit more scientific here. Or let's take it two steps back. To start, there's just a lot of really excellent travel YouTubers out there. So like, they are more crazy, more charismatic, like better filmmakers and everything like better than I could be when doing this, on the road, right? So I think it would be really, really hard for me to stand out. I mean, I see again like some fantastic YouTube channels on travel that they're not really as successful as I am, even with this like 2,000 subscribers or whatever I have now. So that's definitely like one factor. And the other thing is that I don't really take a lot of pictures and videos while I travel so much, in the sense that if I would be doing this like travel YouTube thing at the same time as I'm traveling, I think I would kind of spoil my fun of the travels. So I would have to travel differently and would also need to think like entertaining people while I'm doing something I like. So I don't want to spoil that. Needless to say, I mean, could I do something like this in the future, that maybe for a specific location I might do a video? Yeah, that can also happen, right? But I think for that, the key would be to travel with a videographer or someone that could take videos. So like at the moment, I take of course photos and videos, but not that much when I travel. But my wife takes zero. She basically takes like an average of 2 to 3 photos per trip. So I mean, she definitely can't be employed for this, so we need to see. But I mean, if you want to see more of travel videos or any specific thing, just let me know and we can always do like some little short or something, like nothing too fancy. The second question is that, Mario, do you travel alone or with your family or both? So I travel a lot alone. I also travel a lot with my family. So it has been a bit of a mix, right? So like my wife now has also been to over 100 countries and a lot of these places together, so you can count that I travel a lot with my family and also with friends before, but I do still travel a lot alone. And I think travel alone is great. I mean, it's different from traveling with your family. It's kind of a different experience in a way, but I just feel sometimes that the most fun and ridiculous situations that have ever happened to me, or like the crazy stuff that then become good stories and good anecdotes of things that I remember forever, they almost always happen when I'm on my own, or at least when I'm not traveling with a travel buddy, right? So but then, okay, I also think that traveling with someone is also nice. So I think like with my wife has been a big part of our relationship. I mean, we have now been traveling together for more than 10 years, right? And we have been to a lot of places that you think like, okay, this is insane. We have been there together, and a lot of our stories as a couple are also part of, okay, all this crazy experience we have had together. And I think like looking into the future, it will still be kind of a mix. So even though we have kids as well and so on, I would still go on my own to places like, I want to go to Mali or some places that are a bit more in the borderline perhaps on security, safety, and definitely don't want to take kids there, or at least, it doesn't look like it's a good place to go with kids. And then on the same time, go with the family to something like the South Pacific, or even some destinations that might be a bit more off the tracks, but feel still safe, like Iran. So let's see. And of course, we will take it as it comes. Next question is that, which places do you look most forward to visit? And I will just go straight to the point. I think on this one is Iran on the top of the list. I mean, I have been meaning and trying to go to Iran for many years. And between the sanctions and the fact that then if you go to Iran, then you can't go to the US without a visa, it was kind of a bit of a hassle. But now I'm to the point that, okay, I really want to go there. I love history, I love culture, and there's so much to see in Iran, right? So definitely on the top of the list. Then closer to Iran as well, I really want to go to Iraq and Syria. I mean, whenever the safety situation is also good. As I say, I love history, and if you think like how much things have happened in Iraq, and even though ISIS destroyed a lot of the ruins in like Syria and the north in these, I mean, it's still a lot to see, and I think it would be really interesting to see that, and like museums and a lot of things going on there. So let's see that. And something that also came to mind as well is like, I want to see more of Africa. And while I have seen a lot of safaris as well and so on, there's still some gems in terms of culture in Africa that I haven't seen. So Mali comes to the top of the list, but they have Timbuktu and some other crazy places that are like incredibly interesting in terms of history as well. A bit safety considerations that make it likely that nothing is going. I'm not going there anytime soon, but yeah, that's something that's on the top of the list. And then thinking also of family trips, we were thinking about doing maybe Seychelles and the South Pacific, and sometimes a bit more in the Caribbean, like when it winter and like autumn and winter come to Europe again. So let's see about that. Some island hopping there. Let's see how the COVID situation is, but that's what comes to mind at the moment. Next question, and I drink a sip of tea. What is your favorite country? So in my video that is must be somewhere here that I explained my top 10 countries, I had number 1 on the list, Tanzania, and still is the case. So I think like the safari experience, and with my wife, we did like over 5 years ago, like a 1 week long safari. That was so cool. I mean, as I said, I love history, but I mean, if there's something I love as much as history, it's animals. And like, it just was so wow. We did like the Serengeti, the Ngorongoro crater, a part called Tarangire is full of like elephants. There's also Lake Manyara is full of different birds. It was just so cool. Like, I really loved it, right? So, and then on top of that, you also have Zanzibar, which is this amazing paradise island, and the beaches in like the Indian Ocean on that side of Africa, they're really nice, a lot better than you would see like in Southeast Asia or even sometimes in the Caribbean. So like, you combine the whole thing, Tanzania is really good. But again, it's all back to what experiences you bring to yourself, right? And I think like, I remember at some point in this safari, like we were in this car, you know, completely sealed in a way that you can actually just go through the roof, because I mean that's the way it's in Tanzania, and we had like 10 to 15 lions just walking around us, and then like we saw cheetahs hunting, and then we saw like zebras, buffaloes, like a lot of elephants that I basically lost track of how many elephants, hippos, antelopes. We saw basically everything, right? And it was just so cool. It was just about being there in the nature and like camping in those type of places that you basically open the door of the tent and you can see a zebra there. I mean, like incredible experience. And even though it's expensive, I think it's still good that it's expensive, because it means that less people go there and it can be more unique and magical. So I would say like, if you ever want to do one trip of a lifetime, do this one. I mean, I'm definitely hoping for going there again the moment the kids become a bit older and can actually like be, I don't know, 5 or 6 years that they can actually enjoy this the most. And otherwise, I would say Japan is also, I still love Japan. I think Japan is like, I love the culture. I speak Japanese a little bit as well, right? So it's all about Japan. But the Tanzania experience was just too cool. Okay, next question is, what is your least favorite country? So, like, yeah, I normally want to be positive on this channel, as you know, almost everything, but if I had to single out a place that I just didn't enjoy, that would be Nepal. So in terms of like worst first impression, I was there for a week. I was like, okay, I really didn't like this place. It was just so dirty, it overwhelmed me. So, and again, like, I'm sure that a lot of people might go to Nepal and have an incredible time. And we didn't go trekking to Mount Everest. I think some people do that and I find it incredible. But like, I was in Kathmandu and this other second biggest city. We just go to different places. It just, yeah, definitely not my top of my list. It was like, yeah, crazy stories of like, yeah, I think everything went wrong on this trip for us. I mean, just to put it into perspective, you know, again, I don't want to pile on it, but like, you couldn't see the mountains from the cities because of the smog. Then when we went to the second biggest city, on the bus right there, the bus driver just runs over like a dog and like doesn't care at all. I was sad. And then like in the main street of the second biggest city, I don't even remember the name of the city, sorry. Like if it would be like the Stroget of Copenhagen, you know, like something like that, right? Like there's this kid that basically like with the parents, that takes off the pants and starts booing in the street. I'm like, oh my god, you know, like it was, I think it's a huge potential in the place, but it just, at least to me, it overwhelmed me. And again, I have seen a lot of places where it was just like, not my type. Next question. So recommended places to visit in 2022. So from the things I have seen, I would say 2022, cool, Saudi Arabia. So that's only opening up now, and it's not that it's amazing or anything in comparison to other places. I think like in the Middle East as a whole, if you have never been, like Israel is amazing and Lebanon is nice and there's a lot of things to see, right? But Saudi Arabia, the fact that it has been almost entirely closed to tourists for like forever, right? And now it's opening up. It's still early to go there and you can go to a lot of places before they get really crowded. And even then, I would say like, again, we went with the family, with my wife and the kid. And then it was like, it felt good for women as well. So it was a place that before you would think like, okay, women, Saudi Arabia, but like my wife was very comfortable the whole way. I mean, of course you have a lot of people with, you know, the full veils as well and so on, but no, they were really nice, very friendly. Again, like I was like, okay, positively surprised. And then I would say as well, and I have it like noted down here as well, my native Argentina, like the currency has crashed quite a bit, so it can be like actually quite cheap to go there now. And if you want to enjoy the huge diversity of landscapes and things to see and like good food or whatever, like Argentina is really nice. So definitely it's a place that you should definitely visit this year as well. Okay, next question is, where are you going next? So again, I have been telling you about the places I would love to see the most, but in terms of where to go next. So I would say like, okay, we have a baby coming up in a month or so, so of course there's going to be likely no travel from my end until August, September earliest, because, you know, supporting the family over here. And it's also nice weather in Denmark anyway. But then if all goes good, we plan to do a bigger trip in November, December. We're thinking about the South Pacific and like island hopping over there, plus doing a little around the world. Let's see, you know, that's the first idea, but, you know, let's see what happens with COVID. And then either with a family or on my own, I want to squeeze in this year, at least top of my head, Seychelles. I want to go with a family. Algeria, I want to go on my own if I get a visa and I can go for just a few days. Pakistan also as well, if I can combine it with a Seychelles trip, maybe on my own, I need to see. But like the north of Pakistan would be nice to see. So that's what comes to mind. Again, sometimes things are really spontaneous and I might come up with a new idea, or if I go on a business trip somewhere, you know, something opens up, but those are the things that come to the top of the list. Next question is that why do you travel so much? I just love traveling, and as you might have noticed now, I'm a big nerd, so I have been loving maps since the moment there was like, I can remember I was a kid. I remember watching maps with my grandpa since I was a little kid, and like as long as I can remember, I just love that. And I think like to go to places and see places, and like it's just really exciting for me. And like, and then of course you can see me geeking out in a cave or in a church or a museum. I mean, I'm that type of traveler, but like the whole idea of like, I have been dreaming about certain trips since I was a kid, and then like for instance like the Trans-Siberian or things like that. I remember talking to friends like 20 years ago, and then like now the fact that I can go ahead and do these things, it's just somehow feels really nice. And then also when it comes to travel, right? So I have been really frugal for most of my life, especially like my last 10-15 years. And traveling was the only one thing that it just said, okay, I'm gonna spend my money on, let's go. And like, same with my wife, it's like, okay, we're gonna be frugal in many ways, but okay, traveling, that was our perk. And we just basically spent a lot of money on that, but it was fun. Next question. What is your biggest travel regret? So definitely would be to take more photos and more videos, and not again to post them on YouTube or Instagram or things like that. I don't really care, but like I think it's just nice to come back to a place and sometimes have a really good amount of stuff that you have seen to get your memories, to watch again, as well as so on. For certain trips I have a lot of photos, and like I had a nice camera for a few years, then I sold it, and now I got this nice camera again. Like, I mean, but there's a huge difference between what you can get in terms of pictures and videos with a good camera and with a phone camera. And of course the phone is good because you always have it with you, but like there's certain trips that I wish I would have had more stuff. Like there's certain trips that I'm sometimes like, I think like from Kuwait I have like 2 pictures, and you know, that's again, sometimes when you travel on your own it's hard, but like yeah, that type of thing, that's for sure. And I'm trying to work a bit more on that. So I think again, like if anyone has any recommendations on how I can make my wife take more pictures, I think that would be great as well, because otherwise a lot of the pictures I'm taking now is from her or my son, you know, in the pictures, and not so much from me, but let's see. Okay, now we're getting more personal. Like, did you ever get mugged abroad? And it would be like, yes. So in Kiev, of all places in Ukraine, that was in 2008, so it has been a really long time. And back then, and I'm sure it's definitely different now, Russia and Ukraine were so lost in translation. I mean, I remember it was almost impossible to find people that spoke English back then. I mean, maybe it could be completely different now, but again, we're talking about 15 years ago, something like crazy like that. It has been a really long time. And yeah, I just had this enormous, like gigantic guy in the metro in Kiev just taking my wallet, and like, I was like trying to push him or whatever, but I mean, you know, you see like how the guy was like, yeah, I didn't do anything, like, didn't do anything. And I was like, when you have like the monster big guy, I was like, yeah. And then one more, actually, I didn't get mugged, but I got chased by a killer. I would say, like, I remember like running like my ass off for like 3 to 5 blocks in Yekaterinburg, in like the Urals in central Russia. So I was taking the Trans-Siberian. I was like, okay, no, Yekaterinburg must be nice to go and come out here. This is where they killed the Tsar, and it's like historic city, the Ural Mountains. Okay, let's go and see that. And I just go out of the train early in the morning, like 6 in the morning, I just sit somewhere and I was reading a book or whatever. And comes this guy and then tries to speak to me. And of course I don't speak Russian, and like the Russian guy didn't speak any English or whatever languages I could speak to him. And then he started to get more aggressive, and I was like, all right, I'm getting out of here. And then he was chasing me for like 3 to 5 blocks. Luckily nothing happened, but again, like I was shouting my ass off and like danger, danger, help, help, help. And nobody cared. And both in Kiev and Russia, nobody cared. I think again, it would change now. People have been again more international now, but in those moments it was like, whoa. Luckily the second time in Russia nothing happened. So, and the first time like, okay, just lost money. Yeah, who cares? Which place has the most friendly people in your experience? And first thing that came to mind when I was writing this question was like Istanbul in Turkey. I think like 10 years ago, whatever, when I was there, people were so nice and so friendly. Like I remember meeting some friends online and some from Couchsurfing. Everyone was just so nice, and they loved their city, and they loved Turkey, and they loved to have people from Argentina there or whatever. They were just so nice, and still to this day, I just remember the people from Turkey as being incredibly friendly. At least in Istanbul. I think I got back to Turkey a few more times in the south and in the east, but like never been again to Istanbul, and the friendliness was insane. So that was super nice. And if I would say other places that come to mind, like the south of the US, so I was a few times for work in North Carolina, and again, like the people were so chatty, so helpful, so nice, and I was just surprised, and like again, the niceness of people, so that was really nice as well. Okay, now we're getting into random questions as well. So, best travel feeling. So I think when it comes to the best travel feeling, it has to be like, it has happened only a few times. If you're like kind of a silver, gold, platinum in one of those airlines, right? The moment you put your boarding pass in to board a flight, you sometimes hear a beep and say beep, and then they say, oh, sorry, sir, now give you a new boarding pass, you have been upgraded to business class. Has only happened a few times, but like I remember being so happy, you know, when you just hear that beep and you know it's coming, and you know you're gonna do like a 6-7 hour flight, and they're putting you for business class just for free. That's just so nice. Again, sounds superficial, but again, the moment you try it, you're like, oh my god, this is so nice. Okay, most ridiculous situation. So if any of you care for a little bit of travel stories, right? So, and again, just to emphasize that when you travel alone, there's like crazy stuff happens, right? So I was in Zimbabwe, of all places, right? So, and no, actually I was traveling from Johannesburg to Victoria Waterfalls in Zimbabwe with Zimbabwe Airlines. And then the plane lands and I go out of the plane, everyone goes out on the plane, we do the passport control. And like I was with my headphones, hearing some podcast or whatever, I don't know. And I just go out to the airport. And then I'm just waiting there for the taxi to happen and like pick me up, and I was like, okay, this is an hour early. How come the airplane was so fast or whatever? Fast forward half an hour, I realized that I got out on the wrong stop because the plane was like a taxi and was stopping in different places that I didn't know and didn't say anywhere. It was like, okay, just, you know, when you do passport control, you never come out. And I ran, like, I remember like in this Bulawayo or something like that was the city. I ran back to the airport, I like jumped for the security, I started like, no, stop the plane or whatever. Because I realized that I could then catch a plane because I had people explaining me as well I could do. And I literally ran to the plane, the plane was starting to move in the tarmac, and I'm like running like crazy to it, playing like this, stop. And then like police people come behind me like running as well and so on, and then the plane stops, they bring the thing up, the stairs, and then I can go up to the stairs, and like inside the plane people start clapping when I come in, and I'm like, oh my god, like this is so ridiculous, right? And like again, like the big lesson there was that you just need to pay attention, that when I was, you know, trying to sleep or hearing a podcast, they say like, okay, we're gonna go out in this city, do the passport control, then you come back to the plane and then we leave again. Like, why would you do that? I don't know, but that's one of the ways done in Zimbabwe. And I was like so crazy, but I literally running after a plane, the tarmac, it stops. I mean, they're just so fun. I mean, those things happen in some of these random countries. Then on the same trip, like just before, I was going to Swaziland, and that's Eswatini called now, I think. And I was again from Johannesburg taking a bus, you know, to Eswatini. And then, so we have to wait for some people, these people don't show up, and after half an hour waiting, the bus leaves. We have been driving, and I think like it's like 4-hour drive from Johannesburg to Eswatini. And after almost 3 hours, I mean, we're almost crossing the border, like it's getting dark, everyone's sleeping on the bus, everyone's happy. The bus driver gets a call, and they speak in some of the local languages there, I don't understand anything. And you see the people next to me in the bus, and we're talking about the little band, right? And the guy basically stops by the curb and says, hey guys, sorry, we need to go back and pick up those people. And we have been by then driving almost 3 hours. So it's like, the river is like, imagine the revolution of all these people in the bus. Like, what are you saying that we need to go and pick up those people? We have been driving for 3 hours. Yeah, sorry, they just arrived late and we need to go and pick it up. And it's like, fast forward, we are like discussing by 20 minutes, all the people in the bus talk with the boss of the company, and it was like absolute mess, and I was just laughing my ass because I mean, it's like, yeah, it's a ridiculous situation, but we managed to keep going, and the people got stranded there. I don't know how they managed, but yeah, that's managed to get to Eswatini. And then I get a taxi, and the guy in the taxi had one hand, and I was driving with one hand the taxi and changing gears, and I was like, oh my god, you know, that's again really fun experiences that I feel sometimes that those things happen only when you're on your own. I mean, I had some fun experiences like this traveling with friends or with my wife, but like, yeah, this trip was just ridiculous. Now, 2 more things are for something I wrote 6 years ago actually, but you know, still resonates, for Chris Guillebeau's website. So Chris Guillebeau, this guy who traveled to every country in the world as well, like but like 10 years ago he was done traveling everywhere around the world, so or something like that. And I wrote a profile for his website. It never got published after all because he pivoted the business or whatever, but I think it still resonates here, so I'll just read it here. And it says like, what inspired you to leave home and travel? Is there a reason? Have you always wanted to? Was there any aha moment? And again, like what I wrote there, and I'm just reading here, is that I'm a romantic. I watched the movie before sunrise and it just all built up from there. And again, if you have not watched this movie, it's super cool. So in the movie you have Ethan Hawke, which plays this young American guy, cultured, like traveling around Europe, right? And when a train from Budapest to Vienna, he meets this cute French girl and manages to convince her to come off with him in the train and spend an afternoon and night walking around Vienna and talking to her. So I watched the movie and I was like, okay, I want to be that guy. And I think I was like 18 or 19, you know, and then in the spur of the moment, I felt like, okay, my life goal is like, I want to be the before sunrise guy and I want to go to Vienna and do this, right? And like, again, like South America, you know, meet cute girls in Europe in a train and then walking around is like, I mean, Vienna is incredible, right? So like, that was definitely my top of the list. So that led to do a solo backpacker trip around Europe, which included, of course, Vienna. And then I loved Vienna so much, even when I was there, even though I didn't meet a girl on the train, unfortunately. I tried, but no, it didn't work. Then I did my exchange in Vienna, which was super fun, like my Erasmus or university exchange. I like absolutely love the place. I still love the place, my favorite city in Europe. And like I think like all those experiences made me see like a lot of different things and different people and really motivated me to go and see the world. So yeah, I would think like that's definitely the case. I mean, that's not exactly what I wrote to Chris, but I mean, that's the case of it. And last, also from Chris's website, and the question was like, what did we miss? Is there anything else you want to mention about your experiences? And yes, I think like this is a great way to finish, right? And I want to say that I'm just a middle-class guy from a faraway country doing a normal job in a normal company that still managed to, you know, travel to a lot of different places, even though I was, like they say, not supposed to, right? So, and then you will always have naysayers. You always have people that tell you like, you'll not be able to do this, and like you are not because of this and that and this and that. But like, okay, for me it was like, okay, I really want to travel to 100 countries. I really want to see the world. I mean, this is gonna be my priority. I'm gonna shape my life around it. And like Chris, you know, motivated me in that way as well. By basically his motto is that you don't live to live the life that other people expected you to. So yes, I could have done a better career, I could have done a better business, I would have done like saved more money, but I felt like, okay, this is what I really enjoy and I'm gonna really spend my time and money and effort and plan my life in a way that I can travel more. So that's what I put here. And like my takeaway here is that if you really want to go and travel and see the world, I mean, COVID permitting, you know, this is something you can do. Again, it's still cheap, it's still accessible. It's just more about like setting yourself to do it. And a lot of things that you think like are roadblocks, you know, like instead of, okay, maybe it's not safe, or maybe you want to go with someone as well and so on. Sometimes only with the moment you do the leap, you'll be willing to, you know, experience these crazy things. And yeah, okay, there's gonna be hard times, right? But like even then, once it's so far in the back, unless you get really seriously injured, they all become good stories. Even like as I said, like this guy chasing me in Russia when I was freaking off big time, but like at the end of the day it was like, okay, fine, and now it's a fun story. And to think like I just remember the face of the guy. I was like, okay, no, that's fine. But most of the times it works out well. So that's when you need to keep positivity. And I think like there's still a lot more to learn, and I'm keep looking forward to it. And with that, I think we're done on the questions. If there's any more, just leave them in the video comments. I'll be happy to answer there. Next up, you should watch this video if you haven't yet, where I go through my top 10 favorite countries and I'll add a bit more context into all of them. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you soon.